Are Christians too quick to platform people? Do we have a tendency to jump on the bandwagon before we see the fruit? What's up, guys? Welcome home. This is At Home Apologetics. I'm Kyle Velasquez, and today we're going to talk about viral Christian culture and how the church should handle it. Let's get after it. Do we as Christians have a bad habit of platforming people before they should be? I feel we as Christians have fallen into this habit of seeing some sort of desirable person come to Christ and be on fire, and we immediately begin to platform them. We treat them like an evangelistic draft pick of some kind and think,
here we go, now we got someone who could really tip the scale of perception in our favor.
The most recent example of this is Neeza, which many of you have probably heard about, unless you're living under a rock somewhere. But in case your name does happen to be Patrick Starr, Neeza came onto the Christian scene a little while ago as a detransitioner who had apparently found God in nature and then began a journey into Christianity, which he heavily documented and turned into a huge Christian platform. From being platformed on other Christian content creator channels to gaining hundreds of thousands of followers, he was gaining a lot of influence. Until recently, he has fallen back into identifying as female and has since deleted much of his content. Now, ultimately, this is a sad situation, and really as a Christian community, we need to just pray and still reflect love and compassion for the whole situation. I wasn't even going to comment on any of this, but the more I talked to people and the more I saw other creators commenting on this, I felt it necessary not to just have a conversation about Neeza, but about how we tend to platform too soon. We see a familiar thing with Kanye West, the famous rapper who already had a bit of a controversial past, came out as a born-again Christian and released his album Jesus is King in 2019. Since then, there have been several really concerning things that have happened with him, where he has become more controversial than ever and not Christian at all, to the point where he was recently dropped from the Wireless Festival in London. He lost sponsorships and tons of fans. Or a less recent example of Lonnie Frisbee, who, along with Laurie, were the main characters in Jesus Revolution. Lonnie was considered this hippie preacher in the 60s, and he made huge impressions on Laurie, who is a pretty big pastor now. Lonnie would then disappear from ministry entirely, and a lot of stuff would come out about certain sexual things that would not be only inconsistent with Christianity, but with what Lonnie was himself preaching as well. It was later reported that he died from complications with AIDS. One of the ones happening right now is Russel, who has received backlash about the timing of his conversion and the fact that it came conveniently after charges of SA were brought against him. Many have been closely watching his rise from his shift away from a sort of New Age philosophy to a more orthodox Christianity. There is some reason, though, as to why people have criticized the validity of his conversion, especially with his blunder on Piers.
Can I go back to asking you a question about your Bible?
Yes, if you want to.
Thank you. Was that the one you took into court?
You're the very one.
Okay. What was your thinking of taking it into court? And what you were seeing, looking at some passages, what were the relevant passages for you?
All right. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you. That didn't hurt, did it?
A little bit. It was this from Isaiah. You're right, Bear did say, be chilled. Sometimes I lose the chill, man. It's pretty... It's this. They don't like that, do they, in the old gallery? But remember, you just said it's a hired spot. This is from Isaiah. Excuse me. Man, I'm not going to mark it before. It says here, the verse that I was looking at that day was not this. I can't actually find the verse that I had that day, but this is good enough. This is from Isaiah 12.
John McCrae from Whaddoyoumeme, who has traditionally defended Russel's conversion, recently expressed his concern after seeing this interview as well.
For many, the timeline seemed damning, the contradictions seemed clear, and the case against Russell Brand had never looked stronger than it does right now. And after seeing all of this unfold, you can't help but wonder, is all of this evidence that we've all been falling for a grift all along? Well, immediately, it doesn't look good, especially when he's selling this book as a new Christian right before his trial, and not to mention the full title of his book made some Christians uncomfortable. So with this and on top of everything else, I considered taking down my old videos defending him, and honestly, I do understand why people are so loud about it, because we've all seen this movie before. Public conversions, lots of attention, and then a public collapse a few months later.
While others like Matt Fradd caution against judging his conversion, saying in a social media post, "I see a lot of people accusing Russell of being a fake Christian. Unless you are actually in a epistemic position to know whether his conversion is fraudulent, you shouldn't be publicly calling him a liar," which I think is fair. This comment comes in the wake of having Russel on the Pints with Aquinas podcast, where Russel actually addresses the Piers Morgan incident as well.
To tell you the truth, Isaiah 43:18, which is what I was looking for in the now, it seems ridiculous to say, famous meme, it was already bookmarked. This has been there for like weeks. I was looking through it and I was thinking, this is early in Isaiah, isn't it? So about Isaiah 10, where is that? I was like, sort of looking
we've all been there.
And I suppose if something as sort of innocuous as looking for a page in the Bible or looking for a quote in a book to decouple it from ideology and theology, have you ever looked for a quote in a book and not been able to instantly and urgently find it if it wasn't something you were preparing or really even thinking about that day? If that is looked at so nefariously, it makes you wonder how many other relatively innocent things might be being deliberately reframed as negative for some other purpose, because surely there is an appetite to condemn. As one of my teachers, the writer of this book actually, Jamie, said to me, he goes, well done. For 72 hours, it weren't about Jews or Muslims or LGBTQ plus or Trump supporters or Democrats or trans or whatever. It was about you for 72 hours. Well done. Because the people that are doing that, they were doing it before and they're doing it now about something else. For a minute, you just passed through.
There is some sense to which he does kind of fit the bill of someone who is either using Christianity or does not actually have a legitimate conversion to Christianity, but at the end of the day, we can't be certain at this point, and only time will tell, and I honestly pray that he is real about what he says and claims. These are just a few examples of how the church has jumped on the celebrity or social bandwagon to support people because of the potential implications that their conversions may have on the popularity of the Christian faith.
This can be a terrible mistake
that actually has the opposite effect on Christianity as a whole and can actually have a negative effect on those who aren't and those who are Christians. Paul writes to Timothy about certain characteristics necessary for specific leadership positions. He says in 1 Timothy 3:6, "Not a new convert, so that he will not become conceited and fall into condemnation incurred by the devil." I understand that these celebrities aren't exactly taking a leadership position in the church, but they are being supported by Christians into influential platforms. So I still think, in a way, this verse applies to them as well. Paul even goes on to write in 2 Timothy 5:22, "Do not lay hands upon anyone too quickly and thereby share responsibility for the sins of others. Keep yourself free from sin." This, I believe, makes it clear that we need to be cautious and wise about who we rally around as Christians. Does this mean I'm telling you I don't think we should ever celebrate high-profile conversions? No, not at all. I think we should absolutely take notes and celebrate those things, but with a
Wait and see.
caution. Ultimately, celebrities are just people, and if you've been in the church any number of years, you can probably think of at least a handful of people who came to the church and are maybe even on fire for Christ and then backslide, fall off, or just disappear entirely, oftentimes blaming the church for something as they leave, which I'm also not saying is never valid, because the church is full of imperfect people who are mostly just trying to get it right. We're simply beggars trying to show other beggars where the bread is. But when this happens to high-profile people, they will target the church and slander it, like how Neeza Powers is doing and claiming the church required him to hate himself before they loved him. I obviously don't know every interaction he had on his journey, but I think for the most part, people rallied around him and tried to support him in any way they could, but platformed him in ways we probably shouldn't have. I'm not trying to pick on Neeza specifically either. This happens with any number of people. The truth is, we all have come into faith with sins and things about ourselves that don't align with God's word. We all have had to address those things.
It is in exposing those things about ourselves
That we find real love in our friends. Thomas Sowell says it this way: when you want to help people, you tell them the truth. When you want to help yourself, you tell them what they want to hear. We need to love every person who comes to the church lost and looking for guidance, because we were once that person, but also be wise about what kind of platform and influence we give them. Time will tell with people, and the battle Christians enter as they get deeper into faith is real. The process of sanctification is real, the devil is real, and he desires to keep you out of a relationship with God. We need to rally around each other in prayer and support, but just be careful about promoting too soon and have a more wait and see approach. This doesn't mean we shouldn't love them, encourage them, lift them up, or rally around them. We absolutely should and need to do those things, because at the end of it all, community is so necessary for a healthy walk in Christianity. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Do you think we are too quick to platform people as Christians, especially when they are celebrities or notable people?
Where do I get this right?
Where do I get this wrong?
I want to hear from you. Hit the like button, subscribe right here, or check out another one of my videos here. I appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay blessed.